You're listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast, talking TV shows and movies in easily digestible chunks.
Hello again, boils and ghouls and other spook-assorted nations. Welcome to the Bored to Death Horrorcast, where we take people and dice them up into easily digestible chunks.
Okay, so we're trying something a little different today. We are going to be checking out a South Korean horror film called #Alive. We watched the trailer. We were really interested in doing it. We're trying something a little bit new.
Because we're doing a big thing this month. We're trying to do a Horrorcast, trying to pick up and do something a little bit different between Chris and myself. Sam, of course, we didn't do introductions. We don't have the normal czar. So, he's doing our intro and everything because I done flubbed it out of it. So, we're going to be doing it from here on in for all the horror. So, we're trying to drop one every Friday in October, and we fell into a pattern, and we see him, so we just decided to go with it. I originally saw #Alive trailer well before it was released, and it looked pretty damned interesting, so I wanted to get into it. I mentioned it to Chris, and he was like, yeah, you know what? Have you seen Train to Busan?
Train to Busan, yeah. That one, I knew about it before it came to Netflix. And,
so did I. I've seen bits and pieces of it.
I watched it. It's really good. I know that's a really, really good South Korean zombie film. And I don't know why Asian countries do zombie films better than American films now, because like a lot of them, like I guess ever since George Romero died, they've all been crap. Well, I know that a few crappy ones came out when he was still alive, but yeah, we're going to be looking at some of the South Korean zombie films.
Which one was the next one? Little bit of a spoiler. We're doing Train to Busan, the prequel, which is Seoul Station.
Yes,
and the
sequel.
Sequel.
The sequel, which the full title for that is called Train to Busan Presents Peninsula, and we're in some cases just shortened to Peninsula, but it takes place in the same universe. It's like the Cloverfield films. Okay. That comes out October 27th. So
yeah, we're gonna try to watch it and put it out as soon as we can for that one, because we want to get in it. We want to see how it is before we get spoiled by anything else on the internet. Not sure how popular it's gonna be online to spoil us, but I just want to get in there and get a feel for the movie before you're like, oh yeah, this is the best movie ever, and then we're just going to fall in line and be like, oh yeah, sure, it's really good, or heighten our expectations and then it falls short to what we expect.
Exactly.
Also want to do another movie, One Cut of the Dead, which I've heard really good things of, that it's supposed to be an homage to the George Romero zombie films, and I think it's supposed to be in one cut. We'll have a little more information for it when we get to it.
It looks like a found footage film from what we saw.
Yeah. So this one's going to be #Alive. Gave a little information about it. Anything else you want to add to it before we get in?
I mean, it looks like it takes place entirely in a apartment complex.
Yeah, it looks like a nice high-rise. He looks to be up there quite a ways, like 8th or 10th floor or something up there.
Yeah, he looks like he's pretty high up there.
Not simple to, jump out a window and escape or anything, but it looks like he can traverse on the outside of the railings and stuff.
Yeah, or try to make it across through like a zip line or some shit. And from what I saw in the trailers, it looks like somebody in a neighboring apartment complex across from where he's at is signaling him using a laser pointer.
When I first saw it, I was like, Jesus Christ, somebody put a trained sniper on his ass? Like, oh look, we got one still alive.
Pew! So, anyway, let's go ahead and get started on it.
And we'll see you after the binge.
Thank you for listening to the Bored to Death Bingecast. Be sure to like, follow, comment, and subscribe, and check us out on social media on Facebook and Twitter at BTD_Bingecast. You can also reach us via email at binge.cast@outlook.com. We are proud to be a part of the CKCC Radio family of podcasts, available through your podcast streaming service of choice. Be sure to check out the rest of the CKCC Radio family. Real Paranormal Talk, Motivational Moves, The Stupid Sexy Podcast, Talking Tracks, Club Kayfabe Wrestle Talk, J Bunny's Music Hub, The Race Nerd Podcast, and CKCC Radio's flagship show, The Nerd Table. And now, the binge is done, so let's get to the discussion.
And we're back.
So we finished watching #Alive. What did you think of it?
I liked it. It's definitely a different take, a little more modern than what we've seen, of course, in the past of horror movies.
Well,
it didn't really try to do the whole thing of, oh, well, the cell towers and everything out. It actually plays with having
no signal.
Just no signal, but signal does exist.
Yeah, you just have to get high enough.
Yeah, and that's the other thing when it's all in these tightly condensed pockets of the apartment complexes and stuff. That I'm guessing it's because of the structures keeps the signal from going up too high. And we even saw earlier on in the movie a guy trying to get some signal and then playing around with it and streaming it, and it didn't work out too well for him.
And it was something I kind of saw happening was he tried using the selfie stick. He was like, "Hey, I got a signal," and then he falls. So, anyways, grab my phone real quick because I was jotting down some notes.
Oh, got a note taker here too.
Yeah, kind of had to. So, anyway, so it has INU as Oh Jun Woo and Shinhai Park as Kim Yoo Bin. So anyway, he lives on the 10th floor of his apartment complex.
Which I even called beforehand. I was like, 10 and 8. And then we come to find out, he's on the 10th floor, and the 8th floor was eyeballed for a place to go. Where it's, no problems. Most of the different apartments looked like they had a whole bunch of zombies.
But for some reason, the 8th floor was squeaky clean.
That was weird.
Either that or those were some very neat zombies. So anyway, we learned that his parents and his sister are away. After the apocalypse starts, he has been stuck in his apartment for 20 days until... At least 20 days until, he starts running out of supplies, the water gets shut off, so he no longer has running water. He accidentally spills the last bottle of water that he has, and so he drinks the water that he spills off the table,
and then digs into his dad's liquor cabinet.
Yeah, well, it's funny because right before he opens the liquor cabinet, he goes, "Sorry, Dad." But
it's not like he's coming back to drinking anytime soon.
But he ends up getting drunk, and he's listening to music, and he starts getting emotional. He kind of breaks down. Oh yeah, he also has the little dream, awake dream sequence that he has of his parents and his sister coming home, and then he comes to the realization that they might be dead.
Well, he also gets that one voicemail that he tries to hear, but...
Yeah, it says he gets a voicemail from his parents. They're saying they are okay, and they took shelter in his dad's office, but then he could hear them...
and this is the point. He's trying to get signal to hear the full message, hanging out off the edge of his balcony, essentially.
And doing the selfie stick thing. He hears the message, and he can hear... He's like, "Oh my god, yes, thank you, they're okay." But then he hears the zombies breaking into his dad's office. So that's when he starts to get extremely pissed off, and he's just like, "I'm done." Goes out with a golf club, and just starts whacking zombies. It's like playing a game of whack-a-mole, except the moles are trying to eat him.
And then he got over his head, and he's like, "Oh, well, shit, maybe I should go back."
Yep. And he tries killing himself, but his neighbor from the building directly across from his is using a laser pointer. Mind you, he's hanging himself with a very strong wire. And I kept thinking that it was gonna break, or like the thing that he was using to hang himself with, like off the ceiling, was gonna like break as he was doing it, and he was gonna be like, damn it.
They did something pretty creative with it, where she's using like a laser pointer to point all over him to try to get his attention, and then goes to different things in his apartment that has words on it, and she's like goes over to one, hello, and then takes syllables, like the different symbols, to spell out moron. And he's like, oh wait, shit, I need to get alive.
And so he looks across, and she's pointing to her watch, saying 7 o'clock.
And we got a little bit of this in the beginning, where he's not really good at getting up earlier than 10 o'clock.
He's a gamer. He's a gamer.
Oh, he has the full-on big old liquid coolant in his game center, and his double monitors, and a Red Bull mini fridge. I mean, he was playing PUBG until the internet went shit.
It kind of reminded me...
And it pissed him off. Like, man, he's playing a good game of PUBG during the apocalypse and gets pissed off and not dying in the game.
It kind of reminded me of Jesse Eisenberg's setup in Zombieland, but instead of Red Bull, it was Mountain Dew.
Oh yeah, where he was like drinking Mountain Dew with his face. It was weird.
So yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. So the two of them start like working together on some things. Like, she gets the idea to do a zipline system. She tries to throw him a baseball with
like electrical tape and a really, I think it's like one of the climbing ropes. You know, the ones that are like real threaded, and then you just undo them.
Yeah, it was just like really sturdy, but it obviously doesn't get across to where he's at. So he was like, "Wait, I have an idea." So he gets a drone and attaches like a wire to that, and then sends it over. She takes that, and
sets it up and everything. Sets it up and everything.
And she throws him food
and drink.
Yeah, food and drink with a lunchbox, and he had signaled to her that he was hungry. So
he started to get up. He was like, "Oh God, I thought he had the shits," and he was going to tell her, "Hey, get away from the window. I don't use the toilet because I don't want to smell this, and I can't flush it. I'm going to drop trow over here off the balcony and try to aim for some zombies." No, it was just hungry.
Because I thought because of all the liquor that he had been drinking, he had a bad case of the bubble guts.
But she's like, "You hungry?" And then that's why she had the idea to send him over something.
So,
also he started going to town on one of the bars, and then right underneath the bar there was a note saying, "Eat slowly."
Because it was supposed to last him for...
Like ration. Like, this is all I'm going to give you, bro. That's all I can support.
So, he ends up getting his... I'm sorry. It's exactly how he dresses that made me say this, but I was like, he's dressing like Glenn from The Walking Dead. The red cap on, like the whatever survival gear he can get onto himself, and he goes over to one of the other apartments.
He was just digging through people's pockets to try to get some keys to get into another apartment and then he noticed that, well, also with the information on the TV that they still hold some memories. So we didn't even mention this, his neighbor that broke into his apartment earlier on.
Yeah.
Turned, and he had to beat the shit out of him, knock him out of the apartment.
Oh yeah, he kind of gets two zombies in his apartment at two separate times.
Yeah, the first one being his neighbor that was like, "Oh yeah, I had a spat with my brother, and he turned into one of the things, but I'm okay. I need to use your bathroom, and then I'll leave." And he's like, "No, you're leaving now." No, he's like, "I'm gonna go to the bathroom." It's like, "Okay, bathroom, then you leave." And he comes out. He's like, "Well, what the hell happened to your hand?" And he's like, "No, I just need to stay for an hour." I was like, no, you're leaving. And then he started to get towards the door and turn.
That's when he started turning, because they said that one of the symptoms was your eyes were going to turn red.
Or bleed.
Oh yeah, bleed. And he sees it in the mirror right by the front door, And that's when he starts getting all, like, twitchy and shit, and starts making the zombie noises. Not like the, zombie sounds.
It's this, like, modern, like, distortion of their body stuff. Like, the cracking of bones and, like, mutating of your anatomy, it sounds like.
So he tries to eat him. He manages to throw him out, but then he looks out the peephole, and then he sees bigger zombie comes and... Like,
well, it looks like broke him in the half. He looks like picked him up and just slammed him.
And that's when we were like, was that the brother?
Yeah, big brother.
So anyway,
he noticed that he was slamming up against the door at this point of his own apartment. He's like, oh, he must have his own keys on him to get back into his apartment, huh? So he kills that one, gets the keys, gets inside, and he's pretty smart about it. He sees a foot sticking out from a bed, knowing that there was a zombie, possibly his brother. Well, he throws the shoe, hits the foot, no reaction. He's like, alright, I'm good. I'm solid. I'm going to go through everything.
Well, plus he was also trying to hide his footsteps by duct taping his sneakers.
He did a lot of stuff. He put taped a flashlight to his hat. He duct taped towels to his shoes so he didn't make noises when he walked. I think that was about it.
Yeah, that was about it. He didn't really have a whole lot to go on with. So he's looking through like all their survival gear because they're all like mountain climbing shit. So he starts gathering stuff, a pair of headphones.
Oh yeah, because there was mentioned an app that you could still download without signal, so it could give you was it
updates?
It was AM or FM radio signal through your headphone jack, and he's like, well, who has that? And he shows like a big plethora of Bluetooth headsets that he's like
they're all wireless.
So he found one at that other place. He's like, cool, I'll take these, and took a parka, not a parka, like a jacket that has like a turtleneck to it, to where he could just keep bites away, and got curious before he left and went to check the body.
Pulls the covers out, sees a dead body there, sees the bite mark, but
he sees
not
a girl.
turned.
No, he sees a girl.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh shit. As out of fucking nowhere, the neighbor's brother just comes at him. And he gets away. I don't know, he saw like some kind of like pull-up bar or some shit, swung that shit down so the zombie hit it, and he just left that apartment and ran back to his.
Well, let's not forget, he also got food.
Oh yeah, he grabbed Nutella and some other stuff.
And so we see him back in his apartment, just like going to town on this Nutella.
No, he went to town on the peanut butter.
Oh, it was the peanut butter, yeah. So he's going to town on that, but then he's drinking beer with it, which is, I don't know how good of a combination that is.
Peanut butter and beer.
But hey, desperation. You got something to eat and you got something to drink.
And he feels, maybe I should give back to the girl.
Yeah, pay for it.
Give her a can of beer and the Nutella and a walkie-talkie he found in the
apartment. Yeah, that's right. He found walkie-talkies and sent that to her, which is funny too, because as he's doing this, it pans up to from the zombies' point of view, and you just see it going across, and they're all looking up at it.
See, what little bit of physics to it that bothers me.
Yeah, I know.
If it's completely level,
yeah,
it'll get stopped in the middle, because that was a far-ass gap. If it's a little bit tilted, that would explain why hers just went right to him.
Yeah.
His going up to her doesn't make sense.
Unless he was one hell of a throwing arm, he just went and...
Right?
Because I know that it didn't have, wheels on it or anything.
No, it was just a carabiner.
So she gets those supplies, and gets the walkie-talkie, and the two of them are talking and communicating.
Trying to make plans for something. Mentions that the 8th floor looks clean, we need to do it. And then, at this point, she didn't realize that, hey, these things can be smart. One of the firefighter ones saw the baseball that was attached to the line, took it and started following it, and then yanked on it, and then pulled it real hard, which was she attached it to a really heavy, dining room table-like thing.
Yeah.
And it slammed through the apartment, knocking her over, knocking the crap out of her. And,
spilling all the rainwater that she had collected, too.
And he's climbing it, and So our lead is supposed to, he's like, okay, well, shit, I have a bunch of bottles of beer. Let me just start chucking the empty bottles out there at the things. Wasn't working. Wasn't distracting him enough.
No, so he sends his drone out to try to distract it or to, like, knock it off or something. Because this is, what, like 3-4 stories up? No.
I'm guessing it would be about as high as him or higher.
I think she was maybe, like, 1 story higher because of...
So then that would be 11.
Yeah.
That was a strong-ass zombie to climb up that shit.
So the zombie catches the drone.
Oh, he smacks it.
No, he caught it at first.
Did he catch it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He caught it. I thought he swiped
Like, he was trying... It was exactly like King Kong, where he's trying to swipe at the planes on top of the Empire State Building, where he's just like... just doing all that. And then he finally catches it. And then he looks over at him and does the whole zombie hiss thing, and then starts climbing back up, because he took it and, like, threw it down to the ground and smashed it and starts climbing back up, but then she goes over with, like, her...
Oh, she gets up in time.
She gets up in time, goes over with an axe, and cuts its hand off.
Yeah, because it was only holding itself up by one hand at this point. Not sure why. I'm not going to question that part.
And then, what was it, after that, that's when they start, like, really working together on having her go to, or having them meet up, so that way they can get onto the 8th floor. So...
His plan was, what it sounded like, his plan was, I'm going to drop down to the 8th floor, into that apartment, break in, make sure everything's okay, then we'll find a way to get you over here. I was thinking maybe they were going to use the line that they put across, that she would just, like, carabine her across.
Yeah, but she had a different plan.
Yeah,
totally different plan, because I guess she had, like, a...
mountain
climbing gear. So she goes and, like, wedges the line through the door, and then climbs her way down, and mind you, the entire time she's got one of those, like, mountain climbing axes, like the ones that you're supposed to use to, like,
ice climbing too.
Yeah, like ice climbing. She's using that as a weapon. She's managed to do the whole duck and dodge thing through the zombies.
Like sidestep, throw, run through a car. Surprisingly, the outside doors were unlocked, but I mean, the luck.
Sheer dumb luck. Oh yeah, and she slammed the zombie with the door.
Finds the gun from earlier, which we didn't even mention.
There was a
cop that was trying to escape.
Yeah, what was it? Either a cop or a security. It was a cop? Mm-hmm. Okay, apparently they were the yellow vests in other countries. So yeah, there was a cop who was running from 2 zombies, shot at them, ran out of ammo, tried to get new ammo, spills the new ammo, tries putting all that in, and then as she shoots one, and she's trying to reload again, and that's when she gets tackled by one, and while this whole thing is happening, she is pointing the gun at her chin to kill herself, and they smack it out of her hand.
Well, they like fresh meat.
They apparently really like that fresh meat, and they drag her to what I think was supposed to be the entrance of a parking garage.
Yeah, that was underground parking.
To more zombies. And the entire time he's watching this, and he starts freaking out because he's like, I should do something.
I want to do something, I can't do something, and I'm literally just a witness.
So, he starts to go, hey, up here, you fuckers! Hey, come and get me! And they look up at him, and she looks up at him, and it looks like she's about to start crawling away, and then they were like, nope, we want what we have right here, and they drag her. And the next time you see her after that, which is what, the next day, she's full zombie.
Oh yeah, because it only takes about an hour for him to turn, it seems like.
Yeah. Depending, I guess it also depends entirely on how many bites you have, too.
Yeah, she probably turned, almost instantly.
So anyway, so they get the gun.
He sees her doing this badassery, and he's like, she's not going to be able to do this shit alone. And not wanting to see her end up like the cop, jumps down, too, to help her.
So, and they get the gun. Well, first he knocks the zombie that's on top of her off her, and grabs the gun.
Mind you, this is not the cop. Cop's already turned. We're doing splintered reviews.
We accidentally skipped a major part. So they rush to get back into his building to get into the elevator. They get into the elevator to get up to the 8th floor, and when they get up to the 8th floor, like what we said earlier, squeaky clean.
Something that happened earlier on was they were looking out and saw, like, heard the jets, and then they were bombing over there in Seoul. Seoul?
No, it's pronounced Seoul.
It's Seoul, I was right.
I think
they were bombing, and then all the electricity went out because that's the central hub where everything was. But then the backup generator came on, which I didn't think a backup generator would function a elevator.
Probably not, but hey, this is a different country, so it might be a little bit different over there.
Yeah.
So they get up to the 8th floor, and while they're looking around, they see, one thing I gotta mention really quick, the blind zombie that he came across. That was using, it reminded me of the damn clickers from Last of Us.
Might have been an inspiration.
Possibly. But anyway, so he sees another zombie at the end of the they see a zombie at the end of this hallway on the 8th floor. And it's essentially like, I guess the one that would, like, signal the other zombies, like, there's food over here, because it started making these noises, and it was just standing there, and that's when you see more of the zombies just coming right at them. So they're like, oh shit, and they haul ass away. He takes, like, this, like, barricade and tries to essentially wedge it in a way that they would either have to...
They would
fall over it, trip over it, and they would have to essentially crawl underneath it. And he's sitting there whacking away with them with a golf club. And the entire time she's going over one door after another, knocking on them, trying to...
She's just, like, yanking on them, saying... I don't think she ever said help me, but...
No. No, she didn't. She was just ringing doorbells, shaking on doorknobs, or I'm sorry, handles in this case. And before she gets to the one where it opens up for her, and you see a hand reach out, grab her, and pull her in, and then you see smoke grenades come out to essentially, I guess, blind the zombies, or to, like, cover him up with smoke.
Or probably just disorient them pretty hard.
And so that's when he gets up, runs back, they get into the apartment, and he's like, oh, well, I have food and supplies here. You see, like, food everywhere in the kitchen.
It's like everything. Guys, you got all of it. You can have whatever. You're good. Don't worry about it.
But meanwhile, the entire time, she does not trust him.
Well, not one bit.
For good reason. I mean, I understand why. Because you don't know what is going to happen. So they're eating...
In this case, if a zombie apocalypse ever happens, unless I know you, you're pretty much considered what would be a psychopath in Dead Rising. Because you never know what the hell a person's like after the apocalypse. They could have been like in everyday life just a normal person, but then they have this deep dark secret. They're like, oh yeah, I wanted this to happen. I want to just have an excuse.
Well, it's like Negan in Walking Dead. He named the bat after his wife.
Yeah, it's how people turn in different situations.
But they're sitting there talking, and the guy, not even gonna try and remember his name at this point. The main guy, they're eating Spam and corn, and they had already had water, and he just randomly, like, dozes off, and
he just, like, kind of looks real distant and glassy-eyed,
and then he passes out at the table, because and she's like looking around, and she sees all of, like, the baby stuff, and she's like, do you have a child here? And
although she asked that before he started to pass out. That's when the shit started kicking in.
Yeah, that's when it started. That's when the drugs started kicking in, and he basically explains that.
He doesn't even explain. He just starts zip tying them.
He started.
It'll be better if you just go to sleep.
Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. And she's clearly fighting the drug.
I don't think she drank as much water.
No.
Because I think the other dude, like, drank the whole glass.
Well, he was thirsty.
So he starts dragging her off to the side room that he has padlocked from the outside.
And the entire time we're like, is this going to be like Dawn of the Dead with the zombie baby? Because how is this going to work?
He throws her in there and shuts the door and starts to say stuff, and she sits there and goes, "Oh," and notices the wife literally has like a harness on that was cobbled together with probably like a baby Bjorn thing with some belts.
Because it was like made of leather, so
so it was the
it was
belts
strong.
were the things that were connecting it, but I think she had like the baby thing where you're supposed to like put the baby on your front or your back.
Yeah,
which was he essentially used as a harness to keep her off to the side so he could drop in food for her, his zombie wife. You don't see the child. I'm pretty sure her first meal was the child as a zombie.
it's never really confirmed, but
You never see the baby. You
yeah,
see blood around the crib, though.
yeah. So that's anyone's guess at this point. So the guy wakes up and he's pointing the gun at him. Meanwhile, his hands are still zip tied, but he's still able to hold the gun because his hands are.
He did it pretty loosely. The zip ties weren't the best.
Yeah. So, meanwhile, the entire time she's struggling with the mom. Those two are sitting there talking. He's like, "We're both the same, you and I. You know, you can.
Killed before?
You know, you can stay in here.
No, he said you can take as much food as you want if you just leave.
Because he's like, my wife hasn't eaten in
weeks,
and so she's starving to death right now, and
she's already dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna let go of the leather thing and just let it.
Let it happen.
He runs over, drops the gun, grabs the leather straps or the leather belts to try to pull it away from her, and as the other guy grabs it, he grabbed a knife, right?
Yeah, he goes to grab a knife, and then he gets really quiet, and then he goes.
You, is it?
A little bit. My phone's ringing. He goes and unlocks the padlock because of how quiet it is. It's like, is she dead? Is she being eaten right now? No.
I think she managed to grab like a sheet or something and cover her head in it,
and made her like really quiet,
like docile.
So
because it was her screaming.
Yeah.
Not the zombie.
And it was like, well, you can't see the food. You're not gonna go after it.
And then she pulls the sheet up and just shoves her at the dude, knocks him down, and she starts chowing down on her husband.
And meanwhile, the entire time he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry."
And had the gun. I guess the gun had enough bullets because they
shot. Well, she had 4 bullets in the gun, and she shoots both of them.
5, because the final scene there's 3.
Oh yeah, that's
shots,
right.
And then 2 shots each. They shot both the guy and the zombie wife.
So they come up with the idea that they... Oh, no, they hear the helicopter.
Well, first they were going to commit suicide.
Oh, yeah,
She's like, we were just like, it's done.
It's like, we're both still human. Let's go ahead and just go out our way. And then when they hear the helicopter, that's when they were like, let's get to the roof. So they haul ass up to the roof. Meanwhile, they're being chased by zombies. They barricade the roof door. Well, first she gets on first because he's trying to like hold the zombies back with a bicycle, and then he tries to grab a fire hose.
Yeah, knowing damn well because he checked earlier, the sinks in his apartment weren't working, so of course the water's out. He like grabs the fire hose, turns it on. He's like, yeah, oh yeah, that's right, and just chucks the damn nozzle at him.
And he pretty much smacks one of them right in the face.
What would have been good is if he would ran it across through the bars and just tie it up as fast as he can and keep going, so it'll give him another trip.
That was another thing I was expecting him to do, but he didn't do it. But, I mean, when you have a horde of zombies coming after you, you gotta think fast. So they get to the roof, and they're trying to look for the helicopter. They're like, we're alive, we're here, save us, the usual shit. And they're at, like, the edge of the building on, like, the opposite side of where the door is. Zombies come out. She takes the gun, and she shoots, like, 3 of them? I thought she got one of them because I saw the bullet come out of one the cheek of one. Oh, that wouldn't have done it. That wouldn't have killed it.
I think they were all 3 chest shots.
And they're like, all right, well, I guess this is it. And then you hear the helicopter come up, and, military helicopter, they start shooting at the zombies, and they're like, all right, come on, let's get on. So they pull them up, and they fly away, and as they're flying away, because they're so high up, all of their messages start popping up. And, it was one after another.
It's 6 missed calls, voice messages, text messages. And a couple of them were, I think, from his family.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was his sister or his mom, because I didn't really look close enough and didn't really remember the names as well. Saying, we're okay.
And that's when he's extremely happy. And that's when we hear the news reports saying that people were using social media to let people know that they're alive where they're at.
And they're saying that the towers were down, certain towers were down, but then as the towers are getting back up and they're clearing, say, zombies or debris or whatever back, and getting the signal back, they're using that to find people. Because one of the things he did in the very beginning was saw a whole bunch of people posting on probably Twitter, Instagram, or some shit. Name, location, thing on cardboard or paper, and then you put hashtag alive.
Yeah.
Or
hashtag I am here or something like that.
I think it was hashtag alive. Movie's namesake.
Movie's namesake, yeah. It's like in Family Guy. Oh, he said it. He said it.
He did the thing.
So yeah, for a zombie film, it actually had a really happy ending, I guess.
Yeah, people. Well, one of the reviews you saw was like, "Oh, it's a predictable ending or stereotypical ending." I'm like,
cliche.
That's it. Cliche. In all honesty, most zombie movies don't have a happy ending. They don't really it. It has a lot of foreboding and sadness and deep dread. Let's say the first Dawn of the Dead.
We're talking about the original one.
Night of the Living Dead remake. Gets out, it's all the Hicks shooting up the zombies and shit, but then you're like, well, this is what's left? Wow. Oh, we'll just round them up and do this? No?
Well, that was supposed to represent what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
With, the lynch mobs and shit back in, the 50s and whatever other time periods. Because that's what...
because it also continues in the other story, in the other, of those movies. It's just... there's not a happy ending to it. It's just it's here, done. This one's we're actually getting survivors in this movie at the end. We're actually trying to get out and get survivors. Some movies have it end with a big old nuke. I'm all this was for nothing.
I was kind of expecting that when I saw where it just said cliche ending, but I didn't actually read the review.
Good.
So I was like, do they die at the end, or does one of them get bit? And
that was a lot happier ending than I expected.
But it was.
Thoughts? You liked it. I liked it.
I did. I actually liked it. It wasn't. It also didn't sequel bait.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was is it gonna sequel bait? Or is it gonna be a fun one-off? Or this was what you said, a South Korean movie.
Yes.
And this was actually a dubbed. And was on, Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Which surprised the crap out of me that I didn't have to read the entire time. But I know that's not going to be the same for the rest of the movies we're going to be seeing in this,
No, because...
Horrorcast.
Well, no, because... Well, I bought Train to Busan and Seoul Station, which is the animated prequel to Train to Busan. But when I watched Train to Busan on Netflix, it was in Korean. But with the subtitles.
We'll see. There's 2 other places that have it, so who knows if we can find it in English.
I was fine with it being in Korean. I felt like it would have been a little bit better seeing it in the original language. I don't mind the subtitles.
It just depends on when it gets to the action. Also, another thing you mentioned during the movie is not a whole lot of dialogue, which was good.
Yeah, there were especially mainly before he and her, before they physically met up, there really wasn't a whole lot of talking aside from what he saw on the news, the voicemail, the stuff
Yeah.
that he saw online.
The
Other
one
than that-
time he talked to his neighbor.
Yeah, other than that, like, the majority of the time, he's pretty quiet, but, I mean, he's literally by himself. He doesn't have anybody to talk to.
Until he gets the walkie at that point, too. Alright, so...
So, would you recommend this?
Yeah, definitely recommend it.
Especially if you're getting tired of all the cliche American zombie films and
I mean, they haven't done a zombie film in a while, I don't think.
that we know of. So, anyway, I'm Chris.
Sam, we'll catch you in the next binge. Later. 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 Later.